Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Weimann. I'm going to read for you a story I wrote many years ago, toward the very beginning of my teaching and the creation of the Polite Pirates. So, the title of this story is The Polite Pirate Purple Pumpkin Problem. And that's a tongue twister and it's full of alliteration. This story is all about science and how the polite pirates used science to answer a question and solve a problem. At the end of this quest through this story, we will answer these questions. These questions are in a Google form, and while listening to me read the story and as you reread the text, see how many of these you can answer so that you're prepared for the Google form. Ready? What does Simon say science is used for? Here's some more alliteration. Simon says science is used for. So when Simon shows up in this story and he suggests science is used for something specific, we want to, there should be a light bulb in our mind, like ding, 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 pay close attention. What is a hypothesis? You may think you already know this, but according to this specific text, what is a hypothesis, or how is hypothesis defined? What does it mean to observe something? Where do the pirates look for answers before doing any experiments? Now, keep in mind this word right here, before. See this sequence word, because when you read about pirates doing some experiments, you should then look prior to that and see what did they do before the experiments. What is a source? Why do the pirates look to see if other people had observed plants change color? Why did Scott summarize the article about changing the color of flowers instead of reading it? Simon says, like the game, people have been doing science for many years. How do people do science? And finally, why did the polite pirate crew use a normal orange pumpkin to conduct its experiment? And these are some pretty in-depth, tricky questions. As we read the text, let's see if we can come across any answers to them. Every autumn of every year, every pirate from far and near participates in the prestigious Pirate Pumpkin Parade. Each pirate crew decorates one pumpkin to look the scariest for a prize awarded at the end of the parade. Because pirates normally want to be known as fierce, they usually pride themselves in making their pumpkins look terrifying. To have one's pumpkin recognized as the best was a great honor. Also, the prize was usually rather lucrative. And here you should notice that some of these words are in bold print. That means that they're vocabulary words, words that I thought you may not know what they mean. You could look these up, which would be fantastic. Lucrative, though, simply means worth a lot of money. So the prize was probably valuable. One year, early on in Captain Irony's pledge to politeness, a frightening thing happened to the polite pirate crew. Their pumpkin had changed colors. Like every other band of pirates, the ship's crew was given a large orange pumpkin on Monday to decorate for the parade on Friday. So how long did they have to decorate? Tuesday morning, when the crew awoke, everyone was surprised to find their pumpkin had turned purple. This was a problem. Many times in stories, the plot hinges on a problem, and it's rare that an author will state the problem so succinctly. But for this one, I wanted to just let you know this was a problem. Also, You probably recognized from those questions at the beginning of this that this story is meant to teach science. And in science, the thing you begin with is a problem. So, the pumpkin turning purple was the problem. How were the play pirates supposed to make a purple pumpkin look mean? Orange is the color of fire and wrath. Purple is only found on flowers, unless you are in Mrs. Merrill's royal court, and then it is pretty much everywhere. Was it something that could be undone? The polite pirates set out to uncover what had happened. Perhaps the pumpkin had been tampered with. Could it have happened naturally? Maybe it was an accident. A studious sailor named Simon suggested using science to uncover the mystery of the purple pumpkin. The others were confused. How would science solve their predicament? We have a problem, he explained, and science is all about finding the answers to problems. Now, wait a minute, it says science is all about... I remember one of the questions had to do with what did Simon think science had to do with, or what was science all about? Finding the answers to problems. Without any other ideas, the polite pirates figured they'd give it a try. How do we use science to solve our problem? They inquired. The first thing we need, said Simon, is a question. What happened to our pumpkin? Suggested many crew members at once. Well, we can see what happened to it, Captain Irony piped in. It's purple, several sailors blurted in unison. Yes, it certainly is, Simon said. What we want to know is, why is it purple? How did it turn this color? Those questions seem apropos, commented the classy captain. Can those work? Sure, agreed Simon. Okay, what's next? Irony wanted this science show started. The purple on his crew's pumpkin was scarier to him than the image the crew had planned to carve on it. And remember, they planned on making it look scary, so... What we could do next is see if anyone else has already answered our problem for us. People have been doing science for many years. It is possible that someone has come across a purple pumpkin before, explained Simon. Remember, one of the questions was, how do you do science? Where on earth are we supposed to find such information? Murmured several stressed-out sailors. We could search science books and other non-fiction books, suggested Susan, who was an avid reader. Some sailors saw the benefit of searching through scientific magazines and began perusing periodicals. Others searched for similar stories in newspapers. After looking in many different sources, the polite pirates regrouped. Sources, that was one of the questions too. So maybe some of these things are sources. Newspapers, periodicals, scientific magazines, nonfiction books. Although they had uncovered many extremely interesting facts about plants, no one had run across any purple pumpkins. I did read about a process of turning flowers different colors, said a small sailor named Scott. This got everyone's attention. The whole crew wanted to know how it was done. Someone may have performed just such a trick to their pirate parade pumpkin. Scott summarized the article he had read that described the steps to alter the color of the cut flower. I remember a question about Scott summarizing an article. Upon hearing the details, the crew discussed the possibility of this happening to their pumpkin. Some thought it had, while others thought it unlikely. Scott suggested that they do an experiment. Before we do, piped up Simon, we ought to come up with a hypothesis. A hypo what? Exclaimed many crew members. Simon said that real science requires you to make what he called a hypothesis, or prediction of what you think might happen. That way, he explained, you have a purpose for the experiment. You want to know if you are right or wrong. Otherwise, you'd just be fooling around and not really accomplish anything. When you have a goal, you are focused. This seemed to make sense to the polite pirates, So they made a hypothesis. If we place a regular orange pumpkin in purple water, it will turn purple. Some wrote the hypothesis down while others gathered materials needed to conduct the experiment. The polite pirates conducted their experiment using a normal orange pumpkin. I remember one of the questions was about why they used a normal orange pumpkin. The new pumpkin did not change color. The crew thought about why it may not have turned purple. Some suggested that maybe they hadn't waited long enough. The cut flowers in the experiment Scott read about only took a little while, but a pumpkin was much larger. Others thought it didn't work because a pumpkin is very different from a flower. What might work on one may not on the other. There were some who thought that if the solution of tint and liquid that the pumpkin was placed in had been more potent, it could have worked. After a few other ideas were discussed, the polite pirates made up and wrote down a handful of new hypotheses. Then they broke up into groups to conduct one experiment per hypothesis. Not one of the experiments proved to provide a purple pumpkin. The polite pirates had to conclude that their pumpkin did not change color through that method. Now what? They were wailing when Susan suggested that perhaps a spell had been cast on the pumpkin. The rest of the crew wondered how something like that could be examined scientifically. A spell like a magic spell, like something a witch would do. But so far in this story, has there been any magic? No. The story so far has seemed to be realistic fiction. It's a make-believe story, but it's all things that could actually really happen. Just before they began thinking up hypotheses and experiments to test them, little Lilith came crawling out of a cupboard. What she had to say flabbergasted everyone. "Does everyone like the color I painted the pumpkin?" inquired Lilith. "What?" erupted every pirate at once in less than polite voices. A little abashed, Lilith explained that she understood the contest to be pumpkin decorating, and ever since she had visited Mrs. Merrill's royal palace, she thought it the most beautiful color. Although this answered the science problem, it did not fix the fact that pirates were supposed to have fierce-looking pumpkins. What do you think the polite pirates did about their purple pumpkin problem? They decided to strike out and make a pretty pumpkin instead of a terrifying one. The judges at the Pirate Pumpkin Parade were so impressed with the bravery of the polite pirates, being the only crew to ever dare decorate a pumpkin in any style or manner other than scary, that they awarded them the coveted Pirate Pumpkin Parade prize, a treasure map, of course. Since the polite pirates had learned so much about coloring plants, they thought it would be interesting to try their hand at coloring food and make purple pumpkin pie. After experimenting on a few small batches, the polite pirates found just the right recipe. They made enough purple pumpkin pie for every person who attended the event. The pie was consumed in the royal palace, where purple was the color of the hour. It was very interesting, to say the least, and every pirate, even the meanest and scariest, thought that it was the best pumpkin pie they had ever eaten. So, we learned about science in the story. We learned about politeness. We learned about bravery. What was the theme or moral of the story? What do you think? What did the polite pirates learn?